स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। रूप गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त की जय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, verse number 37. Sirira manasa divya vayyase ye cha manusha भौतिकाश्च कथं क्लेशा बाधन्ते हरिसंश्रयम्। शरीरा मानसा दिव्या वैयासे ये च मानुषा भौतिकश्च कथं क्लेशा बाधन्ते हरिसंश्रयम्। शारीर मनसा दिव्या वैयासे च मानुषा भौतिकाश्च कथं क्लेशा बाधन्ते हरिसंश्रयम्। शारीर मानसा दिव्या वैयासे ये च मानुषा भौतिकाश्च कथं क्लेशा बाधन्ते हरिसंश्रयम्। Sharira pertaining to the body, Manasa pertaining to the mind, Divya pertaining to the supernatural powers, demigod, Vayyase O Vidra, those, Cha and Manusha pertaining to other men, Bhaktika pertaining to other living beings, Cha and Katam how, Klesha, miseries, Badante can trouble, Harishamshrayam, one who has taken shelter of Lord Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Therefore, O Vidra, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna and devotion service be put into the miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? Please repeat. Therefore, O Vidra, how can persons completely under the shelter of Lord Krishna and devotion service be put into the miseries pertaining to the body, the mind, nature, and other men and living creatures? Every living entity within this material world is always afflicted by some kind of miseries pertaining either to the body, the mind, or natural disturbances. Distresses due to cold in winter and severe heat in summer always inflict miseries on the living entities in this material world. But one who has completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Lord, in Krishna consciousness, is in the transcendental stage. He is not disturbed by any miseries, either due to the body, the mind, or the natural disturbances of summer and winter, is transcendental to all these miseries. So we'll try to look at the examples in this verse, try to understand. So what is exactly it means by taking here Swayambhu Manu's example is given, who is one of the 12 Mahajanas, is one of the Mahajanas. How one should take shelter. And our acharyas give example, like just like once sold an animal to others, so that animal is under shelter, he doesn't care anymore, he's under the complete shelter of that person. So like that, when we have taken initiation, when we are taking surrender at the lotus feet of spiritual master and Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, then we should be completely focused on the service of the Lord. But if we are constantly, once we are becoming a devotee, we are constantly thinking about our problems. But we have no other option. Just like in the family life or in the office or wherever we are or in the business, constantly there may be a problem, but constantly we are thinking how to improve the business, how to get more money, or how to run the family, or how to complete the work job. There could be problems, but still we focus on the work, we focus on the result. But when it comes to devotion service, we neglect. So that's one must, as soon as we become a devotee, especially when we surrender, we have to do service. There is no other option. That is what shelter means. We have to be engaged in the hearing, we have to have engaged in the association of devotees, especially. And we have to remember the Lord, we have to serve the Lord. That responsibility has to be taken very, very seriously, and we should not give up. As soon as we give up, then we will not be able to control ourselves. As Krishna, as Sukadeva Goswami is mentioning, relating the pastimes of the Lord Kapila's instruction to Mother Devahuti on this, what exactly this means by the shelter. Mada ashraya kata mrishta sranvanti katayanti cha tapanti vivida stapa naitan madgata chetasa. Engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from the material miseries because they are always filled with the thoughts of my pastimes and activities. Mada ashraya. There are multifarious miseries in material existence, those pertaining to the body and the mind, those imposed by other living entities, and those imposed by natural disturbances. But a sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions because his mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness. And thus he does not like to talk about anything but the activities of the Lord. Maharaj Ambarish did not speak of anything but the pastimes of the Lord. Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunanu Varnane. He engaged his words only in glorification of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sadhus are always interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord or his devotees. Since they are filled with Krishna consciousness, they are forgetful of material miseries. Ordinary conditioned souls, being forgetful of the activities of the Lord, are always full of anxieties and material tribulations. On the other hand, since the devotees always engage in the topics of the Lord, they are forgetful of the miseries of the material existence. So that's why one must. That's why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami again and again is mentioning, and Prabodhananda quotes, Prabhupada also quotes the Prabodhananda Saraswati. Dante Nidaya Trinakam Kakusitam Vritva Chaitanya Chandra Charane Kurutanuragam. One must give up everything and simply surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Prabhu Mande Yad Padashtraya Viryata Sangranani Akara Vartat Agna Siddhanta Sanmani. I offer my respectful obeisance to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By the potency of the shelter of his lotus feet, even a fool can collect the valuable jewels of conclusive truth from the minds of the revealed scriptures. And we can see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as soon as one takes shelter of not only Lord, his representatives, his devotees, Srivas Thakur's house, how many devotees became, how many people became delivered? There was one pastime, Srivasera Vastra Siniye Daraji Yavana, Prabhu Tare Nija Rupa Karaila Darshana. There was a tailor who was a meat eater, but was sewing the garments of Srivas Thakur. The Lord, being merciful to him, showed him his own form. Dekino Bali Haila Pagala, Prema Nritya Kare Haila Vaishnava Agala, saying, I have seen, and dancing in ecstatic love as though mad. He became first class Vaishnava. This is meat eater tailor. There was a Muslim tailor near the house of Srivas Thakur who used to sew the garments of the family. One day he was very pleased with the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, he was enchanted. The Lord, understanding his attitude, showed him in his original form as Krishna. The tailor then began to dance, saying, I have seen. He became absorbed in ecstatic love and began to dance with Lord Chaitanya. Thus, he became one of the foremost Vaishnava adherents of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can see the difference. Same incident happened for somebody else. What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said? When the same one of the Brahmana came, he was only taking milk, payapam. He was only taking milk. But when he requested Srivas Thakur, please allow me, I want to see this dancing. So then finally somehow or the other, after hearing from him that he only takes so much austere, very clean and Brahmana, then he allowed somehow or the other. Then Mahaprabhu one day was dancing in ecstasy, and then he didn't feel the ecstasy. Then he started asking, anybody else is there? Why am I not feeling ecstasy? Then Srivas Thakur said, yes, I allowed this person, this Brahmana, he drinks only milk. Then immediately Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him like anything. He raised his hands and said, no, this cannot be done. Atapite deva padambujadvayam janapi tatvan bhagavan vicham chiran vichanvan ekopi. So one cannot understand the Lord or his activities, his pastimes, who is operating on the Jnana platform, mental speculation or karma platform. One has to take shelter of the Lord and his devotees in pure devotion service. Then he can understand. So you think, Srivas, I thought you are very knowledgeable. You think by simply drinking milk, simply performing austerities, one can attain me? One can attain Krishna consciousness? How can you say this? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him anything. He quoted from Shastra, and then we can understand. But here is meat eater. So what does it mean? That one must take complete shelter of his, first of all, his representative and serve him submissively. And we see that in the Srimad Bhagavatam further again. We'll read from Chaitanya Charitamrita further, from Srivas Thakur's house. So many, like Dukhi became happy. Again, all of them had taken complete shelter of the Srivas Thakur, his representative. Automatically, Lord first, and them they are serving him, including this tailor served. So one must take shelter. of the Lord's representative and serve them. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pukasa, Abira Samba, Yavana, Kasadaya, in nature Papa, Idu Pastra, Siddhanti Prabhu Vishna Venama. In that particular verse, Prabhupada is clearly talking about how one should take shelter of his devotees. Where Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pukkasa, Abhira, Samba, Yavana, members of Kasa race, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisance unto him. In that purport, we'll see that the above mentioned historical, according to the cult of devotion, generally known as Vaishnava, there is no bar against anyone's advancing in the matter of God. A Vaishnava is powerful enough to turn into a Vaishnava, even the Kiratas, above the mentioned. It is said by the Lord that there is no bar to becoming a devotee of the Lord, even for those who are low-born, woman, Sudra or Vaisya. And by becoming a devotee, everyone is eligible to return home back to God. The only qualification is that one takes shelter of the pure devotee of the Lord, who has thorough knowledge in the transcendental science of Krishna, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone from any part of the world who becomes well conversant in the science of Krishna, becomes a pure devotee and a spiritual master for the general mass of people, may reclaim them by purification of heart. Though a person, even the most simple man, he can at once be purified by systematic contact with a pure Vaishnava. That's what we can see the meat eater, tailor, by getting in touch with Srivas Thakur, or Duki, the maid servant, was just bringing water, as we just heard earlier in the previous call. And how he became happy, Sukhi. And this is instruction we are getting again and again. So we have to give up our own distresses and happiness and simply be absorbed in the service of the Lord. Further, here, Prabhupada further mentioning, a Vaishnava therefore can accept a bona fide disciple from any part of the world without any consideration of caste, creed, promote him by regulative principle to the status of a pure Vaishnava, who is transcendental to Brahmanical culture. The system of caste or Varnashrama system is no longer regular even among the so-called followers of the system. Nor is it now possible to re-establish the institutional function in the present context of social, political, or economical revolution without any reference to the particular custom of country. One can be accepted to the Vaishnava cult spiritual, and there is no hindrance to this transcendental process. So by the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the cult of Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita can be preached all over the world, reclaiming all persons willing to accept the transcendental cult. Such cultural propaganda by the devotees will certainly be accepted by all persons who are reasonable and inquisitive, without any particular bias for the custom of the country. The Vaishnava never accepts another Vaishnava on the basis of birthright, just as he never thinks of the deity of the Lord in a temple as an idol. And to remove all doubts in this connection, Sukadeva Goswami has invoked the blessings of the Lord, who is all powerful. That's why he is used Prabha Vishnave Namaha. As the all powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotee in devotional activities of the Archana. See that always service is always mentioned. Prabhupada never said devotion service, humble service, that also. Submissive service. That is first verse, Srimad Bhagavatam talking about second verse also. Same thing is mentioned. The threefold miseries will only exist for the person who is not submissive, who is not faithful, who is not attentive. For him, it always exists because he's constantly thinking of his own family, extended family, his job, and what he can get in return for doing this seva or that seva. So, dharma projita kaitavo atra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastam astu vasu tapatrayonmu. When he takes complete shelter of his spiritual master and serve him submissively with faith, 100% faith, without any logic or argument, calculation, or one thing we accept, another thing we have a question. No, we accept it, and when we have taken initiation, 100% surrender. There is no more questions to spiritual master. You are simply accepting whatever he is instructing. You are accepting it and doing. You are trying your best to offer everything. Even if you have to take days off from your job and go and serve, then you have to be ready. You have to be ready. This is the highest precedence. We are not understanding the importance of serving the spiritual master. If we instruct something, then we have to ready to serve. There is no other question. And in Srivas Thakur's case, you can see 100% fully focused. He didn't even care about his dead son. That is shelter. Shelter means it is not just simply the formality. Then there is anxiety will be there, distress will be there, threefold miseries will be there. That's why in this verse clearly, dharma, artha, kama, moksha is rejected completely. That is what shelter means. That means you are only interested in serving Krishna for pure devotional service, just for loving exchanges, only to please. Then that is a real shelter. Otherwise, it is not shelter. It is just a formality. So that's why here Prabhupada is mentioning the Vaishnava never accepts another Vaishnava. Wherever as all the powerful Lord accepts the humble service of his devotee in devotional activities of the Archana, his form as the worshipful deity in the temple. Similarly, the body of a pure Vaishnava changes transcendently at once when he is given himself up for the service of the Lord. See that. And he gives himself completely to the service of the Lord and is trained by a qualified Vaishnava. See again. That means you have to do some humble, submissive service and you have to be trained by pure devotee of the Lord. You are not under the guidance, you are not following, you are not first of all hearing from the spiritual master and you are hearing from the whole world. That means जगत को सुना रहा है, जगन्नाथ को नहीं सुना रहा है. फिर क्या फायदा है? उसमें कुछ नहीं है फायदा, सब useless. So first you have to hear from Jagannath, and Jagannath's servant is spiritual, is represent pure devotee. Then you can have some transformation. If that is not happening, then what is the question of this surrendering? It is just simply a formality. No more it's a shelter anymore. So that is Swayambhu Manu is teaching us lesson how to be completely taking shelter of his representative, Lord and his representative. The injunction of the Vaishnava regulation in this connection runs as follows. Acche Vishnu Siladhir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Sri Vishnu Namni Sabda Samnaya Buddhi. One should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master as an ordinary man, nor one should consider a pure Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste. The conclusion is that the Lord, being all powerful, can under every circumstance accept anyone from any part of the world, either personally or through a bona fide manifestation as a spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya accepted many devotees from communities other than Varnashramites, and he himself declared to teach us that he does not belong to any caste or social orders of life, but he is the eternal servant of the Lord who maintains the damsels of Vrindavan. This is the way of realization, and we see that how this Manigriva and Nalakuvera, when he received the mercy, when they received them, obviously cursed, but mercy of Narada Muni, then they simply understood what is the essence, what is the shelter means. Vani gunanu katane sramano katayam hastaucha karmasu manas tavapadayo smutyan sirastavan nivasa jagat praname drishti satam darsanestu bhavat tanunam. Henceforward, may all our words describe your pastimes. May our ears engage in oral reception of your glories. May our hands, legs, and other senses engage in actions pleasing to you. May our minds always think of your lotus feet. May our heads offer our obeisances to everything within this world, because all things are also your different forms. May our eyes see the forms of Vaishnavas who are non-different from you. So that's why one must utilize everything in the service of the Lord. Just like what Gajendra had. Gajendra completely, when he was taking shelter of so many things, for 1,000 years he fought. But when he realized that who has put me into this difficulty, who has given me this body, who has put me into this difficulty, it is my karma, but who has the actual will of the providence, Supreme Lord. So I should take shelter of him, because all possibilities have gone. Trying to take shelter of his own body, his strength, or his family action, no one could help. इत्तम गजेंद्र सा यद्यापि संकटम प्राणश्च देहि विश्वासो विद्रुच्चया आप्रायम आत्मा विमोक्षणे चिरम दद्यो इमाम बुद्धिम अता अभ्यपद्यता. When the king of the elephants saw that he was under the clutches of a crocodile, we're all under the crocodile grip of the Maya. That's what is happening. That's why Tapatre is happening. By the will of the providence and being embodied and circumstantially helpless, could not save himself from danger. He was extremely afraid of being killed. He consequently thought for a long time and finally reached the following decision. Even in this material world, everyone engaged in a struggle for existence. Everyone tries to save himself from danger, but when one is unable to save himself with fire, then he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namam ime gnatya aturam gaja kotakarenya prabhavanti mochitam grahena pasena vidatu ravrita Yepi aham chatam yami param parayanam. Then he has taken shelter. The other elephants who are my friends and relatives could not rescue me from this danger. This applies. We have to apply this principle to us, our life. Most of them grihastha ashram. What do then to speak of my wives? They cannot do anything. It is by the will of the providence that I have been attacked by this crocodile. And therefore I shall seek the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always the shelter of everyone, even of great personalities. And Prabhupada is quoting Prahlad Maharaj. There also the same thing is mentioning that the material world is described as padam padam et vipadam, which means that every step there is a danger. A fool wrongly thinks that he is happy in this material, but in fact he is not. For one who thinks that way is only illusion. At every step, at every moment there is danger. In the civilization, one thinks that if he has nice home, nice car, his life is perfect. In the Western countries, especially in America, it is very nice to possess a good car, but as soon as one is on the road, there is a danger, because at a moment a accident may take place and one will be killed. The record actually shows that so many people die in such acts. Therefore, if you actually think that material world is a very happy place, that is our ignorance. Real knowledge in this material world is full of danger. We may struggle for existence as far as our intelligence allows and may try to take care of ourselves. But unless the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna ultimately saves us from danger, our attempts will be useless. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj says, Balascha neha saranam pitaro nrsimham. Saranam, taking shelter of the Lord. Na artasya cha agadam mudanvati majjato now. Taptasya tat प्रतिविधेर या इहांजसे इष्ट तावद विभो तनुभृताम तद उपेक्षितानाम. We may invent so many ways to be happy or to counteract dangers of this material world, but unless our attempts are sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they will never make us happy. Those who try to be happy without taking shelter of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality are mudas, rascals. Namam dushpitano muda prapadyante narada. Those who are the lowest of man refuse to take Krishna consciousness because they think that they will be able to protect themselves without Krishna's care. This is their mistake. The decision of the king of elephants, Gajendra, was correct. In such a dangerous position, he sought shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why one must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then automatically, simply, as per the hearing has to be done very, very carefully. Sunile Kandi be chitrera ajnana adi dosha Krishna gada preme have paibe santosh. Simply hearing submissively will free one's heart from all the faults of ignorance. Thus, one will achieve deep love for Krishna. This is the path of peace. So now we can read from Chaitanya Bhagavat about this pastime of Srivas Thakur's house, where Mahaprabhu's instruction goes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's reflections are there. Having received Gauranga's order, family member brought the dead child into courtyard. Shiva's son was died at this time when the Mahaprabhu was dancing. And then let's see what the instruction. Gauranga, who destroys the contamination of Kali, then asked the child, "O child, why are you leaving Sivas?" The spirit soul then spoke to the mouth of the dead child, "O Lord, your activities are meant for instruction of everyone. You are the unlimited, supreme, absolute truth. The spiritual potency is not different from you. The spiritual potency manifests in three varieties and assists in your pastimes according to your will. Your spiritual potency manifests your eternal pastimes in the form of Haladini. She gives you happiness. The spiritual potency in the form of Jiva Shakti manifests the marginally situated living entities who are like spiritual sparks. That spiritual potency is the form of Maya Shakti, creates the material world within which she binds the materialistic living entities. Bhaktivinoda says, as a result of my offenses, I have rejected the service of the Lord and fallen in the clutches of my material life. Your complete spiritual ecstasy, while I am a spiritual spark, therefore I am by nature your servant. You are supremely independent. While I am fully dependent on you, I have become degraded because of giving up your lotus feet. This is what shelter means. While I independently desired to enjoy Maya, I lost my constitutional nature. I have become bound by Maya within this material world and engaged in a network of karma. Maya tava icha mate, bande more yei jagate, adrushta nirbandha lauhu kare, seito nirbandha more, ane srivasera gare, putra rupe malini jatare. According to your will, Maya has bound me in this world with the iron chains of fate. As a result of that fate, I have taken birth from the womb of Malini as a son in the house of Srivas. Again, by the same fate, I am living. I cannot stay any longer. Your will is most powerful, while my will is most weak. I am a poor, insignificant living entity. I must go wherever you send me. Who is anyone's son, husband, or father? They are still all material relationships with no tinge of truth to them. You are eternal maintainer of all living entities, one who gives up the shelter of your lotus feet and considers meeting and separation as the cause of happiness and distress, becomes an ass in the hands of Maya and merges in the ocean of material existence. All this frightens Bhakti Vinod. From that day, Maya bound me with the ropes of ignorance and illusion. I have taken many births and wandered under the control of Maya. I took birth among the demigods, demons, human beings, animals, birds, and insects. I wandered through heaven, hell, and earth to fulfill my temporary material desires. I do not know what pious deed I have done to take birth as a in Nadia as the son of Shiva, so that I could see and touch your lotus feet. At the time of every one of my deaths, I suffered greatly. This time, however, I am departing in great happiness because of your association. Oh Hari, my only request is that if I must take another birth by your will, may I have loving devotion for your lotus feet. This is what we should be having a prayer. With the when after seeing Lord first time, the child fell silent. Shiva's family members gave up the lamentation and became absorbed in ecstasy. Bhakti Vinod begged Shivas, may I leave my body while drinking the nectarian characteristics of Gaura. The Lord said to Shivas, you are my servant. It is known throughout the world that I am bound to you by your love. O Shivas Pandit, you are the commander in chief of the devotees. Let your glories be sung throughout the world. Let the people of the world see that the bondage of Maya, the predominating deity of this material world, can never bind you. You have offered your wealth, followers, body, and house to me, and your only happiness is to happily serve me. See that. That instruction is you must take shelter. We must take shelter of like Srivas Thakur's representatives, Sri Prabhupada, and his disciples, his spiritual masters. Complete shelter. How? The wealth, followers, the body, house, everything belongs to the spiritual master. Everything, pretty much. So we should try our best to use everything, whatever we have, as much as possible. So even though inconvenience, because inconvenience will be there, then we can never perform this devotion service constantly thinking of inconvenience. But we are not thinking those inconveniences when we are at work. We are trying to serve the manager, otherwise we will not get the paycheck. That we know. But here we take it lightly. We don't think about that. So we'll end it with a short bhajan or kirtan of the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur. गौरांग बोलीते हबे पुलक शरीरा हरि हरि बोलीते नयन गभीरा आर कबे निता चांदे करुणा होइबे संसार वासना मोर कबे तुच्छ होइबे विषय चाड़िया कबे सुधा हई बेमाना कबे हमें हे वो श्री वृंदावन रूपा रघुनाथ पदे होई बे आकुति कबे हमें बुझवे से युगल प्रीति रूपा रघुनाथ पदे रहु मोर आस प्रार्थना करो ये सदा नरोत्तम दास. When will that opportune moment come to us? When there will be shivering in the body as soon as we chant Lord Gauranga's name, Gauranga, Gauranga. While chanting Hare Krishna, when will there be tears in my eyes? When will I obtain the mercy of Lord Nityananda Chandra? When by his mercy will the desire for material enjoyment become very insignificant? When the mind is completely purified, being freed from material anxieties and desire, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavan and the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna. And then my spiritual life will be successful. When shall I be very much eager to study the books left by 6 Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami? By their instruction, I shall be able to properly understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. My only aspiration is to attain the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Sri Rupa Goswami and Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Narottam Das constantly prays to attain their lotus feet. So let us all submit to Sri Prabhupada and his spiritual masters so that we can follow the instruction here of Narottam Das Thakur. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna Chandra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Very well, thank you. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram, Hare Hare.
Shri Nrsinga, Jai Nrsinga, Jai Nrsinga, Kaladesha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringam, Ugraveeram,
Ugraveeram,
Mahavishnu,
Mahavishnu,
Sarvatam, Tam,
Sarvatam,
Nrsingham,
Sarvatam,
Vishnu, Bhadram, Nityam,
Sarvatam,
Vishnu, Namamyam.
Namamyam.
Nrsinga Bhagavan ki Jai,
Ki
Prahlad
Jai.
Maharaj ki Jai. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the Samar Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha sindhubhaya vacha patitanam pavanebhayo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Vaishnavinda ki Jai, Granth
Jai.
Bhagavatam ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Ki
Go to
Jai.
Hare Hare Hare.
Hari 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 Bol.
Thank you, Krishna Prabhuji. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Hari
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare Bol.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.